horrifically sad that for that 10 years after they made that report, before they even started investigating, all of the girls that were victimized because the FBI failed to do their job. There's going to be some bombshell revelations that have not been mentioned in the news so far, that there are probably other FBI reports that haven't been released.
Hey everyone, it's a Saturday, and a fellow masochist, Allison, who I texted her. It's like the end of Good Will Hunting, where Ben Affleck goes to Matt Damon's house and hopes he's not there, and then he knocks, and then he sees that he's not there, and he's happy. It's kind of like me when I text Allison. I'm like, I hope she doesn't pick up, but secretly, I'm like, I hope she does. And I was just telling her that there's vacation plans, but it's a Saturday and the kids Allison are at their friends, and my wife took my daughter to dance. So it's like a rare day where I have a few hours by myself. I should be resting. I could be playing some, I don't know, games. I could be watching TV, but I'm like, let me work and let me talk to Allison because there's so much news and I have to talk to someone about it. So I have Allison Gill of Mother She Wrote. If you're watching, folks, please go subscribe to The Breakdown. Like me, she's a terrible capitalist. Everything is free. And then she also has the Daily Beans podcast. And tomorrow, a Sunday, she has a fantastic live conversation with an Epstein survivor. Allison, can you tell everyone about that?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking. I was over on the Midas Touch Network. I've got my YouTube channel, MSW Media, where you can watch Beans talk and listen to the Daily Beans and stuff. But Midas Touch gives me a platform every Sunday to go live, and I've decided to use it to do an in-depth, like half-hour, 40-minute interview with Annie Farmer. Now, as you know, a lot of the Epstein files that we got are redacted, some inappropriately redacted, like they redacted Evan, like kids of Diana Ross, Evan Ross, and said that, like, to make them look like they were victims. But he's like, bro, that's me. That's my mom. Like,
Michael Jackson's kid. That's like, that's Michael Jackson's kid, and that's Diana Ross's kid. Yeah.
yeah, but they've redacted their faces to make it look like they were with victims. But one of the reports, or one of the files that was actually released, is a 1996 report to the FBI by Maria Farmer, who mentions that Epstein had stolen child pornography from her because she's an artist and she was an art purchaser, as recommended by her college professor to purchase art for Epstein's home. And she had, for her own artistic purposes, photos of her 12 and 16-year-old sister. Her 16-year-old sister is Annie Farmer. And she made this report to the FBI that Epstein had stolen those photos and those negatives and potentially sold them to a buyer. And for years, Maria Farmer was like, I reported this to the FBI in 1996, 10 years before the FBI actually started investigating. And the FBI reached out in 2006, 10 years later, to Annie Farmer and Maria Farmer and said, hey, we remember your report. Would you like to talk on the record? As part of this investigation into Epstein. But everyone called them liars. They said they made it up. They said they never went to the FBI. They couldn't even get the FBI to acknowledge that they had filed the report. And now, after 30 years of being hidden, that report that they filed with the FBI document of the interview, at least part of it, has come out in this last Friday dump, and they were just overwhelmed with joy and sadness. Joy that they've been vindicated, that the report is real, what happened to them is real, but also horrifically sad that for that 10 years after they made that report, before they even started investigating, all of the girls that were victimized because the FBI failed to do their job. There's going to be some bombshell revelations that have not been mentioned in the news so far, that there are probably other FBI reports that haven't been released, probably because they named Donald Trump, that were filed by Maria Farmer in 1996. So we're going to talk with, I'm going to talk with Annie about that and what it's like to be vindicated, not believed for 30 years. Something I didn't know about her that we'll talk about is she actually went on to work at the VA in the military sexual trauma um, section to help victims of military sexual assault, of which I am one. And so it's going to be a fascinating conversation about redemption, courage, bravery, and all of that. You can watch my in-depth interview with her, Annie Farmer, on the Midas Touch Network tomorrow. It's going to be at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, live on the Midas Touch channel.
That's awesome. I'm going to try to tune in if I can, and I'm so glad you got Annie Farmer, and her sister Maria Farmer is also there. And these were the first victims and survivors, for those who don't know, who actually risked their safety and their security, and said this man is a pedophile. Vicky Ward, who's been on the show about 2 or 3 times, she said that she tried to write a piece on it on Vanity Fair, and when she was commissioned to write this piece on Jeffrey Epstein, the Farmer sisters reached out, and instead of becoming like this puff piece on this Svengali character who somehow has money and travels the world and is mysterious in New York circles, it became about this man who somehow, to this day, we still don't know how he made all his money. The New York Times earlier this week, folks, I highly recommend you read their two-part series. The first part tries their best to do a timeline. I'm sure you've read, Allison, of how this high school dropout who never went to college somehow gets the cushiest job at a private university, Dalton. Has some every place he's gone, folks, there's always some violation or some complaints. Bill Barr's father hired him. And then with Jeffrey Epstein, a man who just somehow again and again and again fails up, has a chance meeting with Ace Greenberg of Bear Stearns, and he says, "You're brilliant. Let me give you this amazing job at Bear Stearns." At Bear Stearns, the colleagues are like, we just found out his record. He lied. He doesn't have a college degree." And they're like, "Let's give him another shot. He's engaging in unethical behavior. Let's give him another shot." And on and on and on, to the point where he meets Leslie Wexner, Ghislaine Maxwell, and then gets flush with this wealth and has all these powerful people surrounding him. So, folks, what Allison is saying is 1996. If we do the math, that's 30 years ago that these brave sisters said, this man is a pedophile. He's powerful. And the FBI said, meh. And then even when Vicky Ward tried to publish it, she says that Vanity Fair scrubbed all the mentions of the Farmer sisters were on record. This was around 2001. And she says that she was threatened, the Farmer sisters were threatened, and even Vanity Fair was threatened by Epstein, and boom, scrubbed. And then we have 2009 in Florida. Allison, can you tell everyone what happened to Jeffrey Epstein, how he's a convicted criminal, pedophile?
Yeah, well, he was facing sex trafficking charges, federal, and he pled down to 2 state crimes for prostitution. He was given a sweetheart deal by Alex Acosta, who would go on to become labor secretary for Donald Trump as a thank you for not,
Oh,
mentioning my name. Um, And, I definitely want to ask Annie about that sweetheart deal, because at every step of this process, going back to 1996, the victims have been left out of the process. The survivors have been left out. They were left out when Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a low security prison. They were left out when the Trump Department of Justice went to the courts to try to unseal grand jury materials, to the point where a judge sua sponte had to instruct the Department of Justice to inform the survivors. So yeah, he got the sweetheart deal. He was in jail, but he was only there like an hour or two a day. He got to go home to his office, where he continued to assault people and rape girls. And a horrific story, and it's been covered up now for 30 years. And for these 2 young women, they had a third sister too, who was only 12, to risk everything to go to the FBI. And this is the first time anyone had reported Epstein to the FBI, was this report by Maria Farmer. And then for them to cover it up until Friday.
yep.
And they're still covering more up,
Thank
because
you.
not
Thank you.
everything that Maria told the FBI is not in that report. It seems like there are other reports that haven't been released this past Friday, and I can tell you that why they probably weren't, and we can see why. Maybe it's under a big black box, because so many of these files that were released on Friday pursuant to the Epstein Files Transparency Act are redacted, illegally redacted. So now Representative Garcia, Representative Massey are putting together and assembling articles of impeachment for Pamela Bondi for violating the law. And so, that's I know everybody's like, take them away in chains, but where are the U.S. Marshals? I just want to remind everybody the U.S. Marshals work for Pam Bondi, so they're not going to go and arrest her. And I'm sorry
That
about
would be
that. I wish we had
awkward.
more criminal accountability, but we're just going to have to settle for the truth and sunlight and political accountability for now, because we don't control any facet of the United States government. As much as Republicans want to blame Democrats for everything that's going wrong right now, we control no part of the federal government, and we certainly don't control the judiciary. So, anyway,
So Julie Brown, I don't know if you saw her Substack post that came out a couple hours ago, just a simple one pager, but Julie Brown is a fantastic investigative journalist for the Miami Herald. I believe she and her team won the Pulitzer for like 5 years ago, really following up and doing what everyone else should have been doing on the Epstein files. I want to just read, if I can, what she just said. She'd had a one pager on her Substack, a Julie Substack. I didn't even know she had a Substack. Um, this this is what she wrote. Quote, "It's clear that the Department of Justice is not only thumbing its nose at the public's demand for transparency and accountability, it is not taking the crimes committed against children seriously. It's as if they think we're so hungry for any crumbs about Epstein that stale bread will do. What's worse is that the documents and photos they did release were tossed up like a salad and served in such a mixed up way that few people will even understand the significance of material that was released on Friday. Imagine being a survivor who was raped by Epstein and having to click one photo at a time through hundreds of photos, just searching for something, anything, to explain how Jeffrey Epstein did what he did, hoping for some shred of hope that the FBI had actually investigated your complaint, going back to your story, and she mentions the story of Maria Farmer, the story you painfully found the courage to tell." And then she also says this, and I want to ask you about this, Allison. "And what about Epstein's clients? Pam Bondi, the attorney general, said there was no list, but Representative Massey said he knows about 20 men who have been implicated in Epstein's crimes. That wasn't there. The grand jury testimony completely scrubbed. We still don't know why Allison Glenn Maxwell got the sweetheart. No one is explaining. I mean, when I said this is the biggest cover up in modern history, the one example that I would give, well, now we have several with the DOJ lack of response and, redacted lists. But one of them, is Glenn. Like, do we have, Allison, because I know you've been on top of it and you've been talking to whistleblowers, is there any explanation by the Trump administration of why Glenn Maxwell was serving 20 years for sex trafficking? If a child predator, uh, got a sweetheart deal that was given to nobody else and is currently being pampered with a service dog and yoga classes. Sorry, that's my wife call. Continue.
Yeah, no. When I broke the story with the screenshot of Ghislaine Maxwell's point screen from the Bureau of Prisons, from sources that I have inside the agency, showing that she had sex offender status, showing that her public safety factor sex offender had been waived, something only the head of Bureau of Prisons can do, and showing that she had an out custody, meaning she's free to leave and do work outside the walls. There's no confirmation that she has, but she's in that category to be eligible for it. Um, when I released that reporting, I actually had gotten a little bit of a Twitter spat with David Marcus, her attorney, who said, "Of course she's not working outside. This is preposterous." Of course, and I'm like, "Interesting. I didn't say that she was, but if you'd be willing to confirm it here for all of us and the residents of Bryan, Texas, that she will not work outside the walls of the prison, that would be fantastic." And he refused to do so. And so, I we still haven't gotten any explanation about whether, maybe the head of the Bureau of Prisons decided to do this on his own without any instruction from Todd Blanche or Donald Trump. But we have now proof in the Abrego case that Todd Blanche was part of bringing the criminal charges against Mr. Abrego. That came out late last night in a filing that had been unsealed.
Mm.
And, I'm going to talk about that on my Substack here in about 45 minutes with Adam Klasfeld with that filing. But that's what this administration does. They say Todd Blanche didn't have anything to do with it. Donald Trump didn't have anything to do with it. I was too busy playing accordion, the invisible accordion. And now they actually have evidence that Todd Blanche was involved in that discussion after the court had to pry that discovery out of their hands. We've seen it time and time again, particularly ICE assault, accusations against peaceful protesters, trying to get body-worn camera footage that proves the opposite of what ICE is trying to say and what the Department of Justice is trying to say. Documents in the Letitia James and Jim Comey cases where, that have been dismissed. They hide it all, they hoard it all, and they only end up turning it over when they absolutely are ordered by the court to do so. I'm surprised that they do, actually comply with those discovery orders. But this is par for the course with them, hiding everything, covering it up, because it's obviously, Waj, the most transparent administration in history. I mean, why would you need to come out and say, sua sponte, without any provocation, that you're the most transparent president ever, unless you are the opposite? I mean, it's kind of mind blowing that all of this stuff is being covered up, and the multitudes of cover ups that are going on with this administration, while they still claim to be the transparency administration. And all they do is fight transparency. They won't release volume two. Donald Trump wants to intervene volume two of the Jack Smith report. They interviewed him behind closed doors. They won't release the video of the interview.
The
Because
video of the kill 'em all, the two survivors, the fishermen. There's nothing to hide, but we're not going to release that video that shows war crimes if we were indeed in war, but so clearly shows murder done by Pete Hegseth and the Trump administration. So they won't release that video. They won't release the Epstein files, which they promised their base. The DOJ, folks, I always try to remind folks, is that the DOJ, as of 3:50 p.m. December 20th, can release the Epstein files. Nothing's stopping them. They could release the Epstein files. The judge has said you could release this.
they
They're
could have released it in
choosing.
March when they locked 1,000 people in to redact Donald Trump's name. And then they said, oh, this amount of redactions looks real bad. It looks worse than probably what's actually in there. So we're just going to close the whole investigation. And there's nothing. There's no client list. There's nothing to see here. Please go about your July 4th weekend, and everybody's like, excuse me.
And,
And
and it
so
makes it worse. And it makes it, this is the thing. They can't even cover up properly because they're so incompetent and so reckless. This dump yesterday, this tossed salad, as Julie Brown said, of nonsense, of redactions, and then trying to blame Clinton and this and that. And now the spin is, folks, if you haven't been following right wing media, good for you. But the spin is they're desperately trying to throw anything like spaghetti at the wall or ketchup at the wall and hoping it sticks, but it isn't. They're like, oh, it should be called the Bill Clinton files. And as Allison and I have said, Bill Clinton looks like a piece of shit. If Bill Clinton and all these other liberals are proven to have raped girls or covered it up, Allison, try them, convict them, burn them all. We
well,
don't care. The
that's my
question is, Donald
question.
Trump is the closest friend. Another piece came in the New York Times that interviewed 30 people. It was, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. I've been trying to link to it. Thursday. It's a really good piece. They interviewed 30 people who are former assistants, some survivors, friends who have folks the type of stories in there. I mean, if you can't, if I may, real quick, there was actually a really good tweet that just highlights a few of them, and I just want to read a few, okay, about Donald Trump, right? Because now they're saying it's the Bill Clinton thing. I'm like, okay, if it's Bill Clinton, who gives a shit? I don't care. Let
Well,
him.
Lodge, I mean, it's like in Mean Girls where she's like, "You're really pretty." And she's like, "Thanks." So you agree you're really pretty. It's like, "Oh, Clinton's in the Epstein files." So you agree if you're in the Epstein files, you shouldn't be president, right? Is that what you're saying? It's bad. It's bad news if you're in the
Oh, look
just
at this. Yeah, but look at this. Tina Davis, this was the New York Times, excuse me, yeah, spoke to 30 associates, employees, victims of Epstein. It came out like 3 days ago. One of them,
yeah.
Tina Davis, age 14, Mar-a-Lago, 1994. Ford Models Booker sent her to a Mar-a-Lago party, told her to dress sexy. She was 14. Her mother said, who accompanied her, many of the models were extremely young. This girl, Tina, was offered champagne. Her mother stayed close to her to keep older men away at Mar-a-Lago. Marla Maples, oh, the woman that Donald Trump cheated with, he cheats on all of his wives. Marla Maples allegedly told the mom, Do not let do not let Tina around these men, especially my husband. Protect her. Traffic survivor in the late 90s said Epstein trafficked her at the age of 17. She attended Allison at least six Mar-a-Lago parties while underage. Epstein or Maxwell introduced at least six women or girls who later accused them of grooming or abuse to Donald Trump. Uh, Epstein coerced another unnamed woman, first public account, into attending four parties at Epstein's home. Trump attended all four, and Allison at two parties. Epstein directed her to have sex with other male guests. Maria Farmer's accounts in there. And then finally, Beatrice Cool, a pageant contestant, claimed that Trump attempted to assault her, and Epstein approached her and said, I'm Jeffrey, I'm Don's best friend. But Bill Clinton,
Okay, well, let's make sure that we don't ever put Bill Clinton in the White House again. Like, or as somebody said on Twitter, like, "Damn it, this means I have to go take down my big Larry Summers flag off of my pickup truck." We don't give a shit. But I gotta tell you, the incompetence here is going to hurt them. They are going to be dragging out this Trump files release, excuse me, Epstein files release for the next several months to keep it in the news. I mean, the, as you like to say, hit dogs holler. You can see every major Republican and people in the Republican Party slowly backing away, like Homer Simpson into the shrubbery from the Donald Trump. I'm walking down the stairs. They're exiting stage left, even. That's
that's
kind of funny because the left. Okay. Um, that we have Stefanik, who's like, I'm not going to run for governor, but everything Trump touches dies, and his party is like, Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to try to throw a Hail Mary and see if she can vacate Mike Johnson before she exits the House. We might get the gavel back and get the majority before the midterms happen. Actually, that might be the best gift in the world to Mike Johnson, because then maybe he could blame the Democrats for stuff. It's
Yeah, someone just said a quote. Another quote that I keep using is "death by a thousand cuts." Yeah, I've always said, well, many people were expecting like a haymaker, and sadly, haymaker doesn't take out fascism. It's always death by a thousand cuts. Like it's like Andor. Everyone has a role to play, and sometimes when the fascist regime is this reckless, this incompetent, this cruel, they help you, and our job is then to exploit the fissures. And speaking about the collapse, because all of this is tied together, as this is happening, folks. As Allison said, Thomas Messi is relentless. Ro Khanna is relentless. Marjorie Taylor Greene is now opening, let me go attack. I'm going to be the leader of America first now. She tweeted yesterday, gosh, like, why would you withhold all this information? Think about the girls, right? And then you're seeing massive fissures. I don't know if you followed Allison, but I've been delighting in it. Even though it's really scary about where the conservative movement is going, we'll talk about that in a second. But have you seen the catty drama level, like pettiness that is emerging within the right wing MAGA sphere at TPUSA this past week?
You mean like Loomer and Groypers and Nick Fuentes and all that?
Hero,
Candace
Candace
Owens,
Owens,
yeah, yeah, and Tucker Carlson, and is getting in on the game.
Steve
Yeah,
Bannon. They
yeah.
are turning on each other, folks. Ben Shapiro is being devoured in real time by the anti-Semitic monster that he nurtured and created.
It's
Ben
going to be
Shapiro.
interesting to see Bongino try to go back to podcasting now that he's been part of the deep state.
Well, speak about the collapse, speak about people fleeing. Great example. Rats fleeing the ship. A day before the Epstein files were dumped, the redacted files on Friday, Lev was a bit on this for a while. He goes, just watch Dan Bongino. And Bongino on Thursday confirmed, yep, I'm leaving early January. And specifically, they say he's been MIA. His office has been cleared for a while. And now he's going to go back to podcasting. But the problem is, like you said, Allison, I think this is why they're going to eat themselves. For those who don't follow MAGA as much, congratulations, you're in a better world. But Dan Bongino, he his claim to fame in the mega universe was the podcasts. And on his podcast and his, content creation, he's the one who championed the whole deep state conspiracy, folks. Now, the reason why this is so important and why it's all tied into the collapse in Epstein is with QAnon, which was the precursor to the Epstein, what they believe and still believe is that all of us who is not basically a Trumper, but especially if you're progressive or liberal or Jewish or Muslim or a woman or LGBTQ, we're part of an international sex trafficking cabal. We worship the devil. In addition to raping and murdering children, we drink their blood. And the only person who can expose this nefarious cabal run by the Jews, because black and brown people are too stupid, so we're just used by the Jews, who are also using us to replace white folks. So that's how it intersects with the replacement theory. The only person who could expose this deep state conspiracy is Donald Trump, which is why they had to elect him. So then Donald Trump gets elected, folks, and he has promised his base. He has radicalized his base now for like 10 years. He owned the QAnon conspiracy. He goes, oh, this helps me. Okay, I'll go full on QAnon, even though it radicalizes people to commit violence. I'll go full on replacement theory, even though it's literally inspired terrorists to kill Jews and Muslims and black people. I'll own the deep state. I don't care. I'm the first Jewish president who's also very anti-Semitic. He gets in.
Replacement theory was the driving force behind January 6th.
Yep, and he gets in, and Dan Bongino now, just like Kash Patel, no FBI experience. They ride that into the FBI, right? So they're going to come in as heroes. You got Pam Bondi. I have the Epstein files on my desk. I'm going to release it. Dan Bongino. Hey, Patriots. I'm now in the FBI. We're going to expose the deep state. Kash Patel. Hey, me and my girlfriend are going to go into Valhalla. But first, we're going to expose the deep state. Then they saw that what was in the files. Do you remember, Allison? I think we were on together where you had the ashen look of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino on Fox, the color drained from their face, where they're like, "There, there's nothing to see. Everything is fine. It's
Yeah, when they
fine."
tried to do phase one with the binders and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So then the binders. We're just keeping a timeline for you. Then they invited all these freaks, Cernovich and all these other the libs of TikTok freaks. Then they had a photo op, if you remember, big binders with the Epstein files, and people were like, even the right wing, I think, Loomer even asked, "What's in the files? Can you open up the binder?" They didn't open the binder. Then they said, "Oh, we'll release stuff." And then Allison, with her reporting, revealed that instead of revealing stuff, 1,000 FBI agents were holed up, and their job was to find Donald Trump's name and redact it. And there was a lot. There was a lot. And can you tell them, were they all? It was all classified, right, Allison?
No, it was all on unclassified networks. Anyone in the entire division had, in two different agencies, four different units, everyone had unfettered access to all the Epstein files. And so folks like myself and Empty Wheel, we all kind of had the same idea at once. It's like, oh, that's like 1,500 leak opportunities. So that's when I put out the message on all of my socials. Hey, if you're one of them, reach out to me. I'll keep you anonymous. And that's when I got kind of flooded in my inbox and my signal chat with people who had been assigned to do that work. Um,
And Trump is in it, right? And they saw some things.
oh yeah, yeah. And they explained it, and I wrote it up on my Substack, and in some interviews we talked about it. But you know, the I think that, there may be, though, there may be something to the drinking the children's blood because it prevents us from having to get lip injections.
It keeps you young. Listen, I'm all against blood drinking, but if you have a tribute, if with the Donald Trump's Hunger Games, if some blood is spilt by a child, and you could scoop it up and Brown doesn't crack. And look at Allison. Those lips don't look like Levitt. You know what? Caroline Levitt is 27.
27, 28, yeah. Hate
Hate,
corrodes the
hate.
container hate corrodes the container it's carried in, and
Oh,
those photos, a lot of people are like, "Those are mean." That's art. That's photojournalism. It's to expose something, it's to make you feel something, it's to get a reaction. So I don't want people to get it twisted. When we're not making fun of how she looks. We're commentating on how that photograph exposes her,
sure.
for what she is. And there's tons of research on how hate ages you, and being a Nazi is bad for your skin. It just is. It just is. And that makes me wonder, since every accusation is a confession, if they're drinking blood. But, it's all just bananas. It's bonkers. Trump's weird ass rally last night where he's talking about Melania's underwear. He said something about, well, the bad men came to Mar-a-Lago and went through my wife's underwear drawer, and she steams her underwear. She's very particular. And I couldn't really talk about it because I was busy doing something presidential. I can't remember why. I'm busy keeping jobs down or something. That was in 2022. He was not
Folks,
presidenting in 2022. He has
she's not.
lost his mind, and the mainstream media is still going after Biden for being too old. It's just insanity.
Allison is not talking about the Wednesday night Festivus rant. She's talking about this weird, unhinged, dark, sad North Carolina rally where he was like upset about how puny the crowd was, and then he said, "I'm looking at some of the clips. I hereby give myself $1 billion." He said that. He just got really bitter against Somalis and immigrants, as usual. I mean, it was a really small turnout, folks. There's a clip. It was really bad, even for him. And he looked blotched, sweaty, sick. Just look at it. He doesn't look right. And Trump collapses, we're seeing the movement kind of collapse. We're seeing the weakening of the head and the weakening of the body. But what's also happening, Allison, which I think people should have their eyes wide open, is what is metastasizing and growing out of this cancerous tumor of hate is a far worse, like straight up neo-Nazi movement, like an America First movement. These guys have gone full Nazi. They have gone full white supremacist. I don't know if you're on been following them on Twitter. I'm talking about some of the most influential voices. I'm talking about the Federalist Society. I'm talking about elected officials. They want a holy war with Muslims. All mainstream Muslims must be destroyed. That's Randy Fine, still has been censured. Tommy Tuberville, Islam is a conquering ideology, still has been censured. They're going back to 2011 talking points about Sharia. I'm like, bro, isn't that from? Did we just take a DeLorean back to 2010?
The Heritage Foundation is like frothing at the mouth with all of this.
And the Heritage Foundation is eating each other apart because you got neo-Nazis now with the pro-Israel faction because Heritage Foundation's president didn't denounce Tucker, who's now all in with Nick, who's all in with Nick Fuentes, who's all in with Candace Owens. Candace Owens is going all in with insane, hateful, anti-Semitic conspiracies. But what's slithering out of it is straight up Nazi talking points of remigration and birthright citizenship, take away, denaturalize people. Like basically everything we've been warning about, they're going in overdrive without the hoods, without any of the dog whistles, putting on the swastika, Allison.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't really have anything to add to 10 out of 10. No notes, Wash. I mean, that's
That's sad. I wish you
what
would say you're wrong. I would say 8 out of 10, but watch, there's
have you
no.
seen have you seen some of the new polling? There was an Atlas poll, which is an A+ poll. It only has about a 2.3% margin of error. And now the general ballot, Democrats are up 16 points
Wow.
on the general ballot. I've never seen that in my life.
Wow.
In the year before, we took 41 seats in the House alone. When we flipped 41 seats in 2017, the year before 2018, where we flipped 41 seats, we were at a 14-point general ballot. We're at 16 now. Trump is underwater on everything. The most hated person in the administration, by the way, is Pam Bondi. People hate her more than Donald Trump. And as far as the greatest challenges the United States is facing, number one by a mile is cost of living and the job market. Number two is safeguarding democracy, and number three is immigration, and number four is health care. So those are the
And he's
top.
negative. He's negative double digits on all five, friends.
Oh, he's negative double digits on every factor, including immigration, defense, democracy, foreign policy, trade, energy, government efficiency, inequality, taxes, economy, jobs, education, combating corruption, environmental protection, deficit in the national debt, agriculture, and healthcare. He is negative 16 to negative 41 on all of those things, underwater, heavily underwater. And foreign policy, every single bit of foreign policy, whether it's peace, Cuba, Venezuela, Middle East, NATO, Palestine, Latin America, China, human rights, and Ukraine. His best score is 17 points underwater on peace.
Wow.
And everything else is more than that, going up to 25 points underwater on Ukraine. So everything is horrible for him right now, and that's why he's doing these rallies. Whenever he gets sad, he's like, "Hey guys, can you set me up a dick sucking rally so I can go and talk to people who are insane and they'll clap for me for a minute? Because every time I go to a football game, I get booed, even if it's the Army Navy game. Can you guys set me up one of my magic rallies to make Papa feel better? I'll talk about how I can pick out a giraffe and a lineup of animals. It'll be great." Just lost his mind, absolutely lost his mind. He's totally unstable. We're extremely unsafe because none of our partners will share intelligence with us. We're a laughingstock of the world. The isolationism, which is a Nazi thing, it's a Nazi party thing, and it's a KKK America First thing, is backfire. Which is what's interesting because the part of the Republican Party that's trying to break away from Trump wants to continue with the isolationism
Yeah.
and the tariffs and the awful economic policy. It's brutal right now for them. His approval rating, he's at according to Atlas, 39%. I've seen it go as low as 37, and that's just his overall approval rating. His disapproval rating's at 60. That's massive. And I know people are like, oh, 60-40 isn't much. That 20-point swing is huge. Usually in American politics, everyone's around 51-49. The further away you get from 51-49, it's almost like an exponential loss. It's almost like it's an asymptote, bitch. Sorry, it's one of my favorite jokes. It's seems like it's the impact on the body politic is exponential each point you get away from 50 up to 60.
And,
So,
and on top of everything you just said, he's -30 to -35 on the Epstein Files. It is the one thing that unites nearly all Americans, nearly
oh, and
80%.
that poll came out before Friday and the botched release. And before January 1st when the ACA subsidies will expire.
And,
Imagine what
and
it's going to look like after that.
And before the greatest wealth transfer in history from the rest of us to the rich with the permanent tax cuts that Republicans have passed, which will also gut Medicaid, it's going to get far worse, folks, unfortunately. And as it
Oh,
gets far worse, go
people
ahead.
like my asymptote joke. Sorry.
And as it gets far worse, they're going to get more and more desperate, right? He's trying to start a war with Venezuela. Like Allison said, though, the problem is he promises based America first. America first, for those who don't know, many of these people said, I don't want any wars. I don't want to support Israel. I don't want to bomb Venezuela. I don't want to. Why'd you strike Syria yesterday? We want you to invest in American jobs and American manufacturing. So he's cracking over that. Israel now, the pro-Israel support, he's cracking over that huge. The economy across the board, he's -30, -25. Things are getting worse. Like you
Well,
said,
that was his I'm better than Reagan and Bush because I won't start a forever war. I won't do that was his one thing to get Republicans to come to the MAGA side was the hatred of GW Bush and the WMD BS. And now he's doing it himself and he's not even trying to make shit up. He's trying to
And
say,
he
no.
does it a week after giving himself the FIFA World Prize, which is literally me saying, I've given myself the greatest Pakistani on earth award. Give it to me, Allison, or I'll kill you. And Allison says, on behalf of Mother She Wrote, this is the greatest Pakistani American award. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'll take it. I mean, it's desperation. And
I have a
furthermore,
trophy for you.
oh, I want that one. That's mine. I deserve it. I've earned it. I'm the best. And then if you think we're wrong, I did see the Wednesday Festivus rant. It was like I call it old man yelling at clouds. Every allegation and every accusation is a confession. He wants to rewrite history. It literally was like everything's awesome and everything's fine and everything's great. And if you don't like it, you're gay and I'm better than you. And Bill Clinton and Obama and Biden ruined everything. And the prices are great. And if you don't think the prices are great, then I don't know. You're not buying groceries where I'm buying groceries. It was like breathless assault. I think they gave him like a line of cocaine. He goes, "You have 14 minutes before you collapse." It was like a man who has to like take a shit, and he's like, "I'm holding it in. I'm holding it in. I'm gonna get all out there. Okay, thank you, bye." And then he just goes and takes a shit with this
Did you see my
pants down his
clips?
ankles.
the clips that I shared over at the Beanstalk, which is my video podcast on MSW Media. I just put a video of him talking, but I overdubbed the speech that Rick Moranis gives in Ghostbusters, where he's like, "Many shops and Zools knew what it meant to roast in the depths of the floor that day, I can tell you." And then I also dubbed over that part from Billy Madison where he's like, "Shampoo is better because it cleans the hair and goes on first. No, conditioner's better because it makes the stop looking at me, Swan." Like I just dubbed that over because
And he
that's
throws
all
it
I
in.
could hear. That's all I could hear. Oh,
If you're doing Billy Madison, then what you should do is after he does his rant, you should do the clip of the speech and debate moderator who calmly
yeah.
tells Billy,
Yeah.
that was the dumbest, stupidest thing I've ever. We're all
I
dumber.
use that one a lot. I use that one a lot. And there was a third one that I was going to use. It's a song by the Descendants that was featured on the Pump Up the Volume soundtrack. "Welcome to Wiener Schnitzel. Can I take your order?" "Yo, 2 large fries, 2 shakes, 2 minute off your mouth. Do you want any Wellspur with that?" "No." It's like a 10-second song. And I almost used that as well, but I thought 3 minutes
Uh,
might be too
it's
many. So I went with the
but folks, this is
Ghostbusters.
the president. I mean, we have to sit with the fact that this man is the president of the United States. Clearly, he's the oldest person ever to be elected. I'm not mocking those who are elders. My grandmother lived with me until she passed away. I took her to her doctor appointments. I get it. The cankles, the swollen cankles, the treatment that she got, he also has. That's why I know he's getting treatment because of the bruised palm. But he is unhinged, 79 years old, 2 MRIs. He admitted to taking 3 cognitive tests. And while this is happening, as Allison just rattled off all the polls, um, it's bad. It's looking really bad. And furthermore, there's defections. And furthermore, at the rally yesterday, he's not getting the superstar rallies. They did a whiteout excuse me, of that North Carolina rally. Folks, it is puny. All this is happening. He's falling asleep, Allison. The next day, did you see after the Festivus rant Thursday? Heavy eyelids. He fell asleep during the
Yeah.
televised hearing that he had with I don't know some meeting. He can't take it. And
And
as this
we have some people asking, "So what? What do we do to solve it?"
oh yeah, no, we'll
Um,
get there. I
yeah.
wanted to get there now is in the sense that, and Allison has to leave in 15 minutes. Is I think my take on this is the following: divide and conquer. You have MAGA weakening. Throw fuel on the fire of that civil war. Use them, don't be used by them, folks. If I may say this, I know I warn every time because people don't follow this. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not your friend. Tucker Carlson is not your friend. These people aren't your friends in any way, shape, or form. Number one. Number two, what I would say, Allison, I want to ask you this is with the numbers that you just stated, even though they're going to try to cheat, even though they're trying to do gerrymandering, even though they're trying to end mail-in ballots, we saw what happened in Miami, New Jersey, and Virginia and New York. 3 women and 1 Muslim person of color. Mamdani becomes mayor. Spanberger, Cheryl, and the Miami mayor, the first woman ever elected, the first Democrat in nearly 30 years, the first non-Latino. And Allison, my take, I wanted to ask you this, is in a head-to-head matchup poll between AOC and Vance, she beats him by 2 points. That came out about 2 days ago. I want people to dream big, Allison. I think we have 2 years. A lot can change, a lot can happen in 2 years. I don't think we have to be content with the status quo, with the establishment, with timidity, with restoration. I think the people right now, we can go balls to the wall and demand a fighter who truly brings reformation and change. Because Mamdani, I interviewed him 10 months ago. He was a distant number two. He was an assemblyman, Allison. In 2 years, why can't people, and I want you to ask you this because some people told me I had a conversation with friends. Man, this country won't vote for a woman. Man, this country won't vote for a person of color. And I'm old enough to remember, Allison, when 2008 happened, horrific war on terror, 6 years of disaster, economic crisis, and this country said, let's give it to this black Muslim guy named Hussein. Maybe it's time for change. Your take.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pulling up from this Atlas poll again. If you Google Atlas polls, you can find this full, really important polling. When they asked, provided these were the candidates, who would you vote for in the Democratic primaries for 2028? Gavin Newsom is way ahead, and in number 2 is AOC. Number 3 is Pete Buttigieg. and number 4 is Kamala Harris. And it goes all the way down to Raphael Warnock and Stephen Smith.
Mm,
Um, so right now, that's where everybody's head is at, kind of, sort of like I'm not a Gavin Newsom fan because I think that
I'm
people
not either.
mistakenly see him as an outsider, but I think he's part of the donor class. But he's very good at messaging. So um, that's kind of where everybody's head is at. But I said after I watched AOC speak at the Democratic National Convention last year, it reminded me of Barack Obama's 2004 speech. And
I remember that.
I said she could be our next. Now, she wasn't a junior senator. She's not a junior senator. But I don't think we need to hang on to the old ways of doing things where you have to become a senator first and then you can run, like you have to pay your dues or whatever. I don't think we have to hold on to that kind of thinking anymore. And we're showing that we don't have to hold on to that kind of thinking anymore with the sorts of folks that we're electing in a lot of these other contests. Mondani comes to mind. But yeah, this is our chance. I just want, and you and I have talked about this, I want to reiterate that folks need to be patient. It doesn't happen in one election cycle. And that if the person who wins your primary is not a progressive candidate, if it's a donor class Democrat, if that's who wins your primary, still vote for them because the idiot John Fetterman's, if he gave us a majority, which allowed us to pass the biggest climate change bill in history. He's like Cinema, Mansion, they're buttholes, but if they push you up over the majority, those buttholes give power to people like Senator Van Hollen and Senator Chris Murphy and Senator Warren to get stuff done, to get investigations done. And for what we can do, I really urge everybody to call your representatives, do the 5 calls app, whatever it is, and demand an investigation into why the FBI had a report in 1996 and failed to open an investigation. We had a similar investigation into why they took a year to investigate Larry Nasser, the U.S. Olympics doctor, who spent that year continuing to abuse and molest and assault athletes. Epstein had 10 years, some of his best 10 years with Donald Trump from 1996 to 2006 to continue to assault people. And the FBI sat on that information for 10 years. And so that's what I would do. And always remember, the government this is your government. People who are asking what to do, what what do you do? Join your local Democratic club. Find out if you need to put together a policy for your local school to combat ICE raids. Um, Always, as always, and Rachel Maddow said this, and this goes back to something you brought up earlier in the show. There's no magic bullet, death by 1,000 cuts. Maddow said in the first Trump administration, when we were coming up on the 2020 election, there's no magic bullet to save democracy. There's the judiciary, there's this, there's that, there's these 15 guardrails, but the biggest and most important guardrail and the biggest check on executive power that we have in this country is us. It's our vote. And for people who think that we aren't going to have elections, we just had a massive one and slayed it. And so I don't think it's helpful. We should be worried. And we've got very professional lawyers like Mark Elias, suing to protect our voting rights and to keep this administration out of our voter rolls. Leave that to them, because telling people, oh, it's funny that you think there's going to be elections, discourages people from voting. Why help MAGA discourage people from voting? They spend billions of dollars to do that. They spend billions of dollars to make us think that our votes don't count and that we have no power, because we really, really do. They wouldn't spend that much money trying to discourage us from it if we didn't have that power. So that would be my recommendation. Right now, I think pick one small thing. You talk about 1,000 paper cuts and no haymaker. I compare authoritarianism to an episode of Hoarders. You walk into that house and it's such a mess and you don't even know where to start. It's the same with what's going on in our government right now. There's so many problems. There's so much corruption. You don't know where to start. But the way to tackle it is to pick a corner and start cleaning. And if we all do that all at once, then we will achieve that death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it's us, it's our government. We're the ones. We're the heroes we've been waiting for. Stop waiting for Bob Mueller and Merrick Garland and Jack Smith to save us. That's what Matta was talking about when she said there's no magic bullet. People were relying on someone else to do the work for them. It's us. It's up to us. Run for something. Man, if there was a year when you had a chance to win, it's this year. Run for something if there's an uncontested seat near you, whether it's water board or city council or county supervisor or state legislature or assembly. Run for something. It's up to us. Anyway, off my
But
soapbox.
no, that was fantastic. And my retort, and I speak only for myself, is the following: is everything Allison said, and this. I'm more critical of the Democratic establishment because I'm 45 years old and I've been promised crumbs my entire life. And I've been told, wait, be responsible, do the right thing, inshallah. We'll punt on immigration. We'll punt on the Muslims. We'll punt on criminal justice reform. We'll punt on healthcare. No, no, no. Let's bear hug Chet. And maybe somehow by bear hugging Chet, who wears a MAGA hat and literally thinks we're pedophiles, that will be the victory, the road to success. Maybe Kamala Harris speaking to Tim Miller instead of Allison Gill, that will win over people. Maybe, abandoning pro-Palestinian activism and not listening to your base, that will work. I think they made a mistake with their announcement that they won't release the autopsy. Ken Martin did. I think they need more transparency, which is why the establishment brand, is not going to work. There's a
Yeah,
reason right
the
now why.
polling shows that too.
You-
People are very, very disillusioned with the
Yeah,
leadership of the Democratic Party right
yeah,
now.
the leadership. Well, you have to look at the signs. There's just as many people who are MAGA as there are democratic socialists now. What does that mean? Young people, especially, there's going to be a huge wave of young people voting for the first time. They're sick and tired of anything institutional or establishment because the institution, the establishment has ruined their lives. So you can't sell them on capitalism. You can't even sadly sell them on democracy anymore. But you have to give them a vision of something better. And they're like, all right, we tried MAGA for 10 years. This mother effer ruined our life. But what do you got? Democratic socialism? Fill in the blank. Sure. You're going to go against the oligarchy. You give me an enemy, the 1%. You're going to tax them. You're going to go against fascists here and abroad. You're going to come up with policies that actually help me. Let's do it. I think Mamdani gave you a blueprint, not the blueprint, a blueprint. Don't throw anyone under the bus. That means Gavin Newsom. You can't throw LGBTQ under the bus. That means Democrats. You can't throw Palestinians under the bus. That means Democrats. You can't throw undocumented under the bus. That means you can't throw the woke under the bus. Affordability for everyone. Go against the 1% and the oligarchy, and also don't support Israel's genocide. I think the current establishment, you have 2 years, folks. You have 2 years. And I think in the primaries that we have the power. We can change them. They should be afraid of us. And they are afraid. They're looking at the poll numbers. They should realize, oh shit, I can't go along anymore with bear hugging Netanyahu. I can't go along anymore with Gavin Newsom just did it 2 weeks ago. Do you believe in taxing the rich? It's a big club. What the F are you talking about? I'm not in the club. I'm not in the big tent. I'm not in the tent, right? So you push them. You have 2 years to push them, push them, push them. And
That's what the
I think
primaries are for. That's what the
that
primaries are for. Please
you
vote
got,
for the Democrat. Whoever wins the primary, please
yeah,
vote for the Democrat because again, we're looking to get a majority, and sometimes to get a majority, you got to have a handful of assholes. We'll get them out. It'll take a couple of years, but like I said, people like Fetterman give power to people like Van Hollen when we get a majority in the Senate.
in the end
People
game,
like
there's no both sides.
Cuellar, anti-abortion Cuellar helps AOC because she can now head up a committee. Even though we don't agree with their policies. So
But we have 2 years for culling. I think the culling can be much more aggressive than people think. And I also want us to think. Last thing I'll say is imagine bigger for once in your life. Be expansive. Like, don't be satiated with crumbs. If we can fund wars, if we can fund a genocide, if the FBI can protect Epstein, if the billionaires can get their tax cuts, why can't our kids get free lunches?
yeah,
Wh-
well, there was a time in this country when Social Security was a big idea that you shouldn't talk about, but we started talking about it and eventually we got it. Same with
there you go.
Medicare, same with marriage equality, same. And in order to get those things done, the biggest climate bill passed, the Inflation Reduction Act. In order to get those things done, we had to have assholes in the Senate like Sinema and Manchin, so that we could get our budget reconciliation majority on board. We don't have to. I shouldn't say we'd have to, but the majority is the whole is greater than the sum of its parts sometimes. we got to get this party out of the majority. That's number
across
one.
the board,
But we
across
have an
the board.
opportunity, Waj, like you said, we have an opportunity in the primaries to elect people that share our values and share our policies and share our platforms. And I think that
2 years,
it's
folks.
going to be. Mhm.
And I'll let Allison go, but last thing I'll say is the money. The color green trumps the color white in this country. We have money, and these corporations are realizing, oh shit, we tethered ourselves to a decaying, vile, soiled ship that's going down, folks. Money, money, money. Use your money. Target, the CEO of Target had to leave after 11 years because they went on the anti-DI bandwagon, and Costco got foot traffic up. Disney bent the knee in less than a week and brought back Kimmel, gave him an extra year. Economic boycotts. Use your
Yeah,
dollar.
and show the politicos. Make your small dollar donations to candidates who don't accept APAC money. For example, I still don't understand this. Why somebody is going to side with APAC to protect $800,000 that they made using that PAC for the last year when they could get $2 million in one day by announcing that they're not going to take any APAC money. Like you should to show them that they can make it up. Anyway, just my 2 cents.
I posted Allison's website. It's www.mullershewrote.com. Everyone go and subscribe. Like me, she is a terrible capitalist. She has kept everything for free, even though she works even more than I do. And furthermore, in addition to making everything free, tell them about the great deal that you have going up until the new year.
Oh, that would I'm not sure that I mean, I think it's the normal price right now. I think we had a Black Friday sale, but I'll see if I can discount it again.
Oh no! And what was it? Tell them what you did.
Oh, my donation.
Yes.
Yeah, I donated my entire annual veterans benefits, the equivalent to the LGBTQ plus and immigrant communities. Ended up being $4,675.60, $45,675.60. And our listeners on the Daily Beans have matched that amount. And so we've got almost $100,000 of originally government money going to protect the very communities that this administration puts in harm's way. So thank you for supporting MullerSheWrote.com. It's free, but if you do support it, it's because of that support that I'm able to do this. And so, your money
Allison,
goes
go
goes
support
to those
Allison right
communities.
now. Become a free subscriber. But if you have some money, go become a paid subscriber. It's like $5 a month. And go watch her right now in 30 seconds. I'll let you go because I'm going to leave in 30 seconds. She's going to be talking to who you're talking to in about 30 seconds.
Adam Klasfeld at All Rise News about the new Abrego filing.
All right, go, go, go. I'm just gonna sign off here, folks. This is the Left Hook. I was talking to Allison. Everything is free on the Left Hook. I might be on vacation with my family for 10 days, so I probably you shouldn't see me, but if you do, you should say, watch, get off. I have a great post tomorrow coming. I talked to Rob Goldman, and folks, yesterday, this piece, I rarely swear, but this piece of shit RFK man, he just announced literally 30 minutes after I finished talking to Rob Goldman, 30 minutes after I finished, they said he's recommending no kids get vaccines. Our entire 45-minute conversation was the dismantling of our healthcare system, the dismantling of the CDC, the dismantling of Medicaid, why you should care, the rise in whooping cough, the rise in measles, how polio might come back. And 30 minutes after our conversation, RFK says, God, the children shouldn't be vaccinated. That's my RFK impression. I don't even care if it sounds like him. I'm mocking him. I don't care. That'll be up tomorrow. Strongly recommend watching it. And then this will be up, 2,500 people watching. Allison and I'll put this up in about 2 hours. We talked about what wasn't in the Epstein Files dump yesterday, how Donald Trump is all up in it, the fissures and cracks within MAGA, and then we end with what we can do. Some good news about how he's so underwater. So we tried to cover as much as we could. We'll have this up. And folks, everything is free on the Left Hook. But for Black Friday, I did this terrible capitalist. It's called the terrible capitalist Black Friday sale, where even though it's $5 a month, it's still free. I took 25% off, and a lot of people said, I've been watching you for free for a year. I can afford $3.80. So I said, hey, let me extend it to the new year. I just put it in the lefthook.substack.com/discount. The lefthook.substack.com/discount. 25% off until the new year. $3.80 a month. I think $38 a year if you want to support. It's all independent. I'm a one-person shop trying my best. And if you can't support, please do. If you can't, go support Allison. And then if you have $3.80, then, support me. And if you don't hear from me in like 8 or 9 days, it's because I'm on vacation with my family, but I will try to jump in and, give 15 to 20 minutes analysis and thoughts of the news of the day, even though I probably shouldn't. My wife said, don't bring the computer, but it's a Saturday and I'm still talking to you. So, all right. Oh, yeah. And if you can, read my book. That's my play, The Domestic Crusaders. And that's the book, the memoir. Go back to where you came from. And other helpful recommendations on how to become American. I hate saying that it is, well, kind of on the nose. And even though it was written 4 years ago, kind of saw where things were going. But it's a lot of personal stories in there as well. It's funny. I got really good reviews and I kept it super short, 215 pages, because I don't believe in wasting people's time. All right, everybody. Take care of yourselves. If I don't see you until Christmas, be kind to each other. Enjoy the holidays. Rest up. It's a long walk. It's going to be death by a thousand cuts. There's going to be no haymakers. The new year is going to bring a lot of new challenges. Things are going to get far worse before they get better. I'm not a cynic, just telling it like it is. But the analogy I always give is there's some people who see a comet in the sky and they're like, everything will be fine. Then there's some people who see the comet in the sky and say, there's a comet in the sky, we're dead. Then I want to be the person who says, there's a comet in the sky, we still have some time to shoot the comet that is coming to kill us all, or at the very least, protect as many people as we can. So I take that approach. Everyone, take care of yourselves, be kind, and please, oh, please don't be a fascist. Bye.